are Daniele Chesky from Arlington, Virginia, Alicia Messer from Arizona, Kylie Langevin from New Hampshire, and Abigail Van Note is the fourth official who works out of Ohio South. As Japan getting ready for the upcoming U17 World Cup. We'll have 4 training camps after this, but not before matches with England and then the USA. As this is the 3rd straight NTC that Japan has been to, and they've lost the last 2 on the final day against the United States, 2-1 in 2014. That was their first loss in 5 years, and then 3-1 last year on the final day, as the U.S., who plays England later tonight right here on U.S. Soccer, has won the first 2 editions of this tournament. As it's a round-robin format, each team will play each other once over the space of 6 days. So we have 2 matches today, 2 matches on Saturday, and 2 matches on Monday. Japan going through their pregame ritual. The reigning U17 World Cup champions will have a chance to defend their title in Jordan after going through to the finals of the AFC U16 championships. That back in November. Lost in the finals to North Korea. And it is Japan in their all-blue kits who are kicking off, attacking to the right of whatever device you may be watching on. South Korea in the all-white will be attacking to your left. And it's Japan who gets us underway. Heavy touch with the ball right back to Japan. No, a foul will be called. And these are 2 youth programs that absolutely have a great relationship, as they have an exchange program where both teams will go over to each other's countries and train. And then on top of that as well, these 2 teams, their coaching staffs will get together and exchange ideas. However, that will be suspended for the next 90 minutes. And 2 quick-fire fouls on Japan, and it's a free kick for South Korea, and this time they're going to be more direct with it. So flung into the top of the box, and Takarada clears for Japan. Headed away by Sim. And after a bit of head tennis, Kong Tae-kyung brings it down for South Korea. Gets it back to Sim. Kong Tae-kyung was not making the run, so it's going to be a throw-in for Tomita, making her debut for Japan. The 17-year-old who plays at Sakuyu High School. And this time it's a free kick for Japan. Nana Onu floats it forward. It's over the head of Uike, but it'll be brought down in midfield by Otto Kano. The number 17 was one of the youngest players at last year's NTC Invitational, and one of the best as well, as this time Sim will be called for barging into the back of Takarada. Naoki Kusunose, the head coach of Japan, bringing 14 players that featured in the AFC U16 championships in November, and 6 players who have yet to make their debut for Japan. Some of them getting the start today in the likes of Hin Inoue, number 13, and also Tomita, as we talked about. Is that one too far for Tomita on the overlap? So it'll be a throw-in for Sim, as there's still no score in the 3rd minute of play, and neither side has yet to really gain any sense of possession. Of course, none of these players involved, but this is a rematch of the 2010 World Cup final, in which South Korea won 2-1. South Korea unable to get out of their group this time around, and a good job by the referee, Daniele Chelsky, to play advantage. And Takarada wins another free kick. Tomita plays it quickly, as Japan loves to possess the ball, loves to move it around quickly, 1-touch, 2-touch. Their technique at this age group is sensational. And one of the things about Japan, as you'll watch them over the course of this tournament, is they never really play that first pass that you're expecting to play. They're setting you up for a second or third pass with players running off the ball that you may not see. And sometimes that runs team ragged. Last year in the opening game of this tournament, they beat Canada 8-0, and Canada was chasing shadows the entire day. Headed out of bounds by Kong Tae-kyung. Takarada's going to leave this throwing off for Tomita. Tomita making her debut. Takarada had 2 goals in the U16 AFC Championship. As Tomita creeps further and further up the touchline. Wind starting to pick up here in Carson, California at the National Training Center, which will come as some relief for these players as it's 80 degrees here. So throw it inside for Kano. Kano trying to play it to the far side. Headed away. And a good job by Korea to pass their way out of traffic. South Korea so unlucky in their group in the AFC U16 Championships. Gave up an 89th minute goal to Thailand. And that was really the game that knocked them out as they lost 1-0. Here's a chance for Miyazawa. Rather played it behind Uike. And now it's South Korea to work up the near side. Clip forward. Looking for the run of Kim. But Nana Ono is there. Takarada screaming for the ball on this near side. But Kano keeping it, waiting for Tomita to creep up. And now Tomita getting forward. Nice touch from Kong Tae-kyung. And South Korea looking to keep possession, but that's a heavy touch. Can Japan take advantage? It's 2-on-3 going the other way. Takarada with a quick shot. And stepping in, but at the expense of a corner is Seam. So first corner kick of the game, and it goes the way of the Japanese. Japan with 19 goals in the AFC tournament, giving up just 2, both of them in group play in the 1-1 draw against North Korea and then in the 1-0 loss in the finals, in which Kusunose said, the one thing I realized, if we're going to be champions again, we have to become much more physical and get much stronger. Well, they're going to test the strength here on a set piece. Will be an outswinger from the near side. And this one driven in, but straight at the keeper. Kim Ye-lin will take those all day. The 17-year-old puts it on the ground and is looking for options. Ono shields and Tomita clears. Kim calls off all comers. And Ado Kano holding onto the ball a bit too long. And South Korea could be in business here. Japan doing a good job to get blue jerseys behind the ball and really nowhere to go with it, but still able to draw the foul is Kim Soo-won. So the Chungbuk forward wins the free kick for South Korea. And Kwon looking at the bench for options. And she's told by her coach to leave it off. So she doesn't really look like she's shaping up to shoot Kong Tae-kyung, who plays for Daewon. 2-woman wall for Japan and the likes of Takarada and Uike. Rather, looks like it's going to be floated in. Nope, it will be a shot. And in the end, very ambitious. So free kick, or goal kick rather, for the 15-year-old Momoko Tanaka. Goalkeeper for Nippon TV Manina. Wonder if she's getting the start because at practice on Tuesday, Chiaki Koguri hurt herself and had to leave practice. And so I wonder if this is just coach's decision or lingering effects from that injury. Nevertheless, it's the 15-year-old getting the start over the 16-year-old in goal for Japan. Japan flying in over the weekend, have been training twice a day. South Korea got in on Tuesday and trained just once before this tournament started on Wednesday. Another long searching ball off the free kick is cleared away by Tomita. Make that Takahira on the far side. And well stepped in. And Morinaka was beaten for pace, but she was able to nick in and get that ball out of bounds. So it'll be a throw-in on the far side. That's lovely skill by Kong Chae Lim. Cleared away by Takahira. One of 3 players on the roster who was here at the NTC last year for Japan. That tournament, Japan scored 11 goals in 3 games, giving up just 3, all of them against the U.S. Before that, 8-0 and 2-0 wins against Canada and Mexico. And then the 3-1 loss to the U.S. on the final day of the tournament. Every game can be seen right here on ussoccer.com and US Soccer's YouTube page. The matches will be played at 3 and 6, both today and Saturday, and then on Monday, they're at 12 and 3, all of those Pacific time. As Japan has really yet to find their radar. The U.S. will feature in the latter of each day. So up next for the USA will be the South Korea side, but first they faced England tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And stepping in with authority is Ueki. South Korea, though, maintained possession. Sim gives it right to Tomita, inside for Kano. And over to the far side for Takahira. Ono gets there first. Really the first touch of the game we've seen for the captain, Fuka Nagano. The number 10 for Japan was a member of the 2014 World Cup winning squad. It's a long searching ball for Miyazawa, headed away, and Kim will come out to claim. This tournament is for players born on or after January 1st, 1999. However, since South Korea didn't make it to the U-17 World Cup, they asked for special dispensation to bring their 1998s and some of their older players so that they can begin to prepare for the AFC U-20 championships. And the U.S. said, sure, why not? So South Korea has a slightly older teams than the other 3 squads. And so far, giving Japan everything that they can handle. Kim Hae-sung, the head coach for South Korea, told me that even though we have an exchange program, I have to admit that Japan does have better ability than we do. And that shows in the results, but he's looking to change things around here today. Every time these 2 teams meet, it's another chance for regional bragging rights. As Tomita rather lost her footing, and now it's Sim. Gets on her bike down the near side, tried to cross it in, but it's repelled. And it's Japan to go the other way. 13 minutes into the first game of the NTC, and a break could be on here for Japan if they can pick out the right pass. Miyazawa, Ueki back to Miyazawa, and Takarada's in space. Takarada can cut it back, it's close to Kim, and it's cleared away before she can get it. And now space for Kong Tae-kyung. Ado Kano did a good job to step into the passing lane. And good defending by Tomita to not allow Kim Suwon anywhere to go. Nagano brings it down. And the Uara Reds lady wins a foul. Free kick for Japan in the 14th minute. Mark Serber with you here on USsoccer.com. Hope you're enjoying our coverage of the first of 6 games of the 3rd annual U17 Women's NTC Invitational here at the National Training Center in Carson. Early service, way too close to the keeper. You could see the idea, but Kong Tae-kyung not able to wrap her foot around the ball and curl it in. Ueki was stepped in front of. Another miscue. And Nagano's going to wait for this ball to come back down to terra firma. And now it's Japan who looks to build out of the back. Ueki sends it to the far side for Takahira. Kano. Kano and Nagano will be the engine rooms in the middle of the field for Japan. They're going to dictate the pace and the rhythm of the game. Kano will stay a bit further behind Nagano, but she'll look to pick her chances to attack. And this is Nagano. And you could see the idea, but Sim did a good job to step into the passing lane. The ball out of the back was not as good, though. Takarada works her way around one. Into the channel for Tomita. And Tomita wanted a free kick. Instead, it's just going to be a goal kick for South Korea. So there's still no score a quarter of the way in. Really no chance of note either. Sorry, Takarada is having some joy down this right-hand side. She's gotten in a couple occasions or fed the ball into the channel for Tomita, making the runs from her right back position. However, the one occasion where Takarada could have gotten off a good cross, it was too close to the keeper. And even before Kim could get to it, it was hooked away by one of her center defenders. Moriyanaka wins it at the second time of asking. Miyazawa. Japan just not playing with the same crispness that we're used to seeing. Tomita, tigerish defending. But it's South Korea who maintains possession through Kim Soo-won, looking to run at the Japanese defense. And she had to get a touch in there, Ado Kano, otherwise it would have been a penalty. Kano timing her tackle to perfection, and a crucial tackle at that. So thrown on the far side to be taken by Eam. Plays her club ball for Unagi. And players of both teams are on the ground, so waiting to see which way the foul will go. And it's going to be Japan who wins the free kick. Nagano. Takahira. Oh no. Gets it right back. Tomita wants the ball at her feet. Instead, it's going to be played into the feet of Uike. Good overlapping run from Takarada. And the center back does a great job to come over and cover. Sim gets it back to Kim Hee-chi. Kano with the interception. Kim Soo-won. Tomita able to stab it away. And now Japan finding their defensive shape. South Korea doing a great job to have players check in for the defense to play it through that first line. However, they're not able to find that ball through the second line. Now they're trying to work their way through with combinations. But stepping in is Kano. Uike. Uike is in, stabbed away from her. Kano just over the crossbar. First real chance to note. And it falls to Japan in the 19th minute. But Kano's shot was always rising. But Japan showing why they're one of the best, if not the best team in the world. Quick one-touch passing through the midfield to create those opportunities. And the ability to play that one-touch in such tight spaces right down the gut of the South Korea defense. In the end, Kano just couldn't keep her shot down. Kim's goal kick. Takarada wins the first and second ball. Miyazawa knocked off of it. And Kim looking for options. And it was the technique of the first touch from Kang Chae-lim that won the free kick. Because she was able to bring it down the way she did and didn't have to chase it, she was able to shield that ball. But it's Japan looking to counter once again. Takarada waits for the overlapping run. Tomita elects to take the inside route, and in the end, she's snuffed out by Sim. Ono steps in, wins it back, and she's rewarded with the ball at her feet. Takehira has Morinaka over on the far side. Takehira and Morinaka both play for JFA Academy at Fukushima. Nana Ono once again. And checking in is Miyazawa, as she's starting to interchange positions in the middle with Nagano. So even though Japan's in constant movement, Uike is more of the target. Well, Miyazawa has free reign to move back into the midfield and switch with Nagano, and now Nagano's making an overlapping run on the far side, but this time it's well read by South Korea. Kim Ye-lin with the ball at her feet, sends it forward. Ado Kano calls Morinaka off of it. The 15-year-old pushes it forward, little touch out wide from Uike. And the spaces open up for Tomita. Ueki. Miyazawa. And the move peters out on the far side. Kano to retain possession for the Japanese in the 22nd minute. And space for Nagano. Nagano continues to run, as does Tomita into the channel. Able to catch up to it, pulls it back. Not enough pace behind that ball, though, in South Korea. Able to scramble it clear, though, at the expense of a throw-in. Miyu Tomita in her first cap for the Japanese has looked very strong. And now Takarada's in, electing to play to the back post. And it's bundled over the line, the opening goal for Japan. Oh, it was Takarada who created it. I believe it was Hina Ionea who scored it. And for her, that would be her first goal and her first cap for the Japanese. It's Takarada getting around the back line once again. And it was Hina Ionue who scored it. So 23 minutes into her opening appearance for Japan, and Hino Inoue gets her name on the score sheet. What a way to mark your first appearance for your country. Well, it was only a matter of time. And if Takarada kept getting around the back like that, that one of these crosses was going to come to fruition. And it's Inoue out of the Cerezo Osaka Sakai ladies who opens the scoring. And Japan have the 1-0 lead. And for all their ability to keep the ball, it's really been Takarada and Tomita on this right-hand side who've created all the offense for Nadeshiko. Inoue again. Takarada's checked in the center. Lovely skill. Lovely finish. 2-0 Japan. Takarada with a goal and an assist inside the first 25 minutes. What a turn and finish from Sare Takarada. It's the Cerezo Osaka Sakai ladies connection once again. World-class skill on display here in Carson. Kung Tai-kyung quickly double team and Takarada wins it back. Kano, Nagano. And in just the space of the last 3 minutes, Japan has really grabbed this game by the scruff of the neck. Well, that's how quickly they can turn the game in their favor. Just when it seems like you're hanging in there with them. Still early days, though. Tomita not neglecting her defensive responsibilities as she gets it back to her keeper. And Tanaka sprays it out to the other side for Takahira. Inoue, goal scorer of the first goal, leaves it for Nagano, who gets it back. And Japan making sure that pretty much everyone along that back line gets a touch, as it's Takarada cutting inside. Was looking for the return ball. And this time, Kim So-eun wins the free kick for South Korea. 27th minute, Japan are 2 goals to the good. Ionoa on her first cap, opening the scoring. And Takarada with the second goal. 2 goals in the space of 3 minutes for the Japanese.
First goal scored by Japan in the 23rd minute by number 13, Hina Inoue, assisted by number 11, Saori Takarada. Second goal scored by Japan in the 25th minute by number 11, Saori Takarada.
Morinaka wins the throw in on the far side. Quickly exchanges passes with Miyazawa. And Kano has space to work. Defense is backing off. Kano waiting for the run inside. Now she might elect to go at it alone. It took too much time and was closed down. Tomita steps inside of Kim So-eun. Sim too far ahead of Kim. Japan will take their time. They don't always push the pace unless they see something's on. And a lot of times by just holding the ball and making the opposition chase shadows, teams get tired, and that's when the space really starts to open up and Japan takes advantage. It's that swarming defense too. When you do win the ball back, you hardly have a few seconds before you're being hounded by 3 or 4 blue jerseys. South Korea attacking, now getting more bodies forward. Pushed over to the far side by Kwon. Nice turn by Kwon. Oh, and another good opportunity, but no foul given. Tanaka calling for calm. Tomita. And now Sim has creeped further up so that they can close down this side. Just missing that one. And now Japan could go the other way. So we've reached the half-hour mark here in Carson. Japan 2 goals to the good thanks to strikes from Inoue and Takarada in the space of 2 minutes. And Takarada looking for more. This time, Kwon Tae-kyung able to get back. Both teams have their entire benches up and warming up. In this tournament, every team is allowed 6 substitutions per game. In the second half, though, you're only allowed to stop the game 3 times. However, you're allowed to bring in more than 1 substitute at those times, and any substitutions you make at halftime won't count as a stoppage. Both coaches talking about how these tournaments give precious experience at the international level for these teams who don't always get to play a lot of internationals. Especially when you have the quality and the variety of teams that you do here at the NTC Invitational. Not only do you have different teams, but you have very different styles. Of course, this is an all AFC battle, but most of the time you usually only play teams from your confederation. Well, now these teams get a chance to get out of their comfort zone, so to speak, and play against different styles, different systems, different cultures. There's some last-ditch defending there from Ono. Fuka Nagano at walking pace. Back out for Takahira. Inoue on the far side. And this is where you need to start counting all the passes. Perhaps by making marks on the paper. Can't keep track with the way Japan has worked the ball from one side to the other and back, as now they look to attack down the far side. South Korea finally able to get their foot on it, but Ueki wins it back, and Miyazawa sprays it out wide. Morinaka joins the party. And Kong Chi-lin wins the free kick on the far side. Eam trying to get the clearance in, and she does win the throw in for Japan, or South Korea rather, in the 34th minute. Waiting for the overlapping run. It came a bit late, but it does arrive, and Japan able to maintain possession. That ball just a bit too far in front of Miyazawa. South Korea trying to go the other way, but Takarada steps in. Talk about the importance of wingers pinching in when the ball's on the far side. That's why. Takes a fortuitous deflection for Kim So-eun. Trying to turn Tomita. Still going Kim So-eun. Only 2 players in and around the box, and it's played over one of them and cleared away. Missed touch from Kim Hee-ji. And now running 1-on-4 and winning the free kick is Ueki. And a yellow card's going to come out as well. So the first yellow card of the game comes out in the 35th minute. Kano elects to play it short as his Japanese MO. And this time a handball whistled against Miyazawa. Led the way for Japan with 5 goals at the U16 AFC Championships. Japan opened with a 4-0 win over Uzbekistan, then a 6-0 drubbing of Chinese Taipei before a 1-1 draw with North Korea. Demolished Thailand 8-0 in the semifinals, but then lost North Korea 1-0 in the final. By then, however, they had booked their ticket to Jordan, which is where the World Cup will be held from September 20th to October 31st. Both the USA and England getting set for their qualifying coming up in March. And here are the Japanese at full throttle once again. Move breaks down, and it's South Korea looking to set up shop. Well, it's the swarming ranks of the Japanese defense who win the ball back. Miyazawa. Morinaka picks out Nagano. Inside the final 10 minutes of the first half, and Japan looking for a third. Takarada's there, loops it over the keeper for the third goal. 2 goals and an assist for Takarada, and Japan have a 3-0 lead. It was all started from Nagano. Beautiful interchange with Ueki and left it off. And then Takarada coming in from her wing-back position again, and a deft chip over Kim. Absolutely nothing the keeper could do about that.
In the 35th minute to number 6, Sung Eun-jung of Korea Republic.
It was Jung who got the yellow card for the Korea Republic in the 35th minute. His confirmation finally came down. Japan sitting comfortably with a 3-0 lead. Regional bragging rights on the line, and Japan may very well have killed this game as a contest even before the 39th minute mark. Kim. Seam lofts it forward.
Goal scored for Japan in the 37th minute by number 9, Riko Ueki.
The offside flag is up. First offside of the day for either team.
Fuka Nagano.
Taking a spill. And this time Chelsea not going to her pocket. Just calling for calm here as it'll be a free kick for Nagano. As it was Ueki who was brought to ground. So Nagano standing over the free kick. South Korea's wall nowhere near 10 yards. So Daniele Chelsea, the referee, is going to have to take care of that. Bit far for a shooting opportunity. As Nagano is going to leave this one off for Morinaka. She could play it short to Nagano. The wall's going to have to be careful. Somebody might have to slide off it. Instead, it's played across. Takarada, she's on a hat trick. Almost finds it in the box. Instead, it's Miyazawa. Has it taken away from her, but it's the second corner kick of the game for Nadeshiko. Nagano's coming over to take. And Miyazawa's coming short as well. Miyazawa. Back to Nagano. There's too many white jerseys in the area. And anywhere will do at the moment. Both benches very stoic. Both trainers have their benches in their respective corners, going through their paces. 20 players are allowed on the roster. Up to 6 of them can enter. So we could have as many as 12 substitutions in the second half. Kano. Tomita. Rare miscue from her, but Kano's able to rescue the situation. Well, somehow that ball stayed in, so Ono will push it forward for Kano. A lovely ball into the channel. Cut back, put across, but on the ground, and it's easy for Kim. Wanted to launch something quickly, but South Korea not getting out quick enough. So she has to go short with it to Seam. Outside back brings it forward. Plays it right to Kano. Final 2.5 minutes of the first half between Japan and South Korea. It was a very even affair until the 23rd minute when Japan sprung into action. 2 goals in the space of 2 minutes. Inua in the 23rd, and then Takarada, who had the assist on the first goal, getting her score sheet herself. And a chance for her 4th, but right into the arms of Kim. And then Takarada would add a second 10 minutes later. So Takarada with 2 goals and an assist, and Japan with a 3-0 lead. Japan at times make it look so easy, but in truth, it's not. It's all the running, all the work they do off the ball, which makes it seem like they're in the right position for every single pass. It's the work they do before the ball comes to them that you don't necessarily see that allows them to make things look easy. I asked their head coach, Naoki Kusunose, why they're so good at moving off the ball at an age group where a lot of players don't understand that. He said, well, first things first, before you can even teach that, you need the technique. And we have district training centers and national centers at the U13 and 15 level, which do an excellent job of preparing our players for that. And so they come in with the technical ability, and then they can implement that understanding. Well, still a long way to go. But so far, so good for the Japanese, known as Nadeshiko. Nadeshiko is a traditional Japanese flower that has come to symbolize Japanese women. So all of the Japanese women's teams are nicknamed Nadeshiko, while the men's teams are nicknamed the Blue Samurai. And here comes Nadeshiko once again. And Takarada wanted it in the middle, but the cross never came.
The referee has added a minimum.
Into the final 15 seconds of regulation. And I think that they're not really going to add anything. Maybe 1 minute maybe at the most. And in fact, the board is going to come up with 1 minute.
The referee has added
Through the fourth official,
1 minute
Abigail
of
Von Note.
time to the first half.
South Korea would be happy just to ride out this last minute, get into their huddle at halftime, and figure out a way to break this Japanese team down. Just like all the best teams in the world, it's the work they do without the ball too. Japan able to win the ball back within like 6 to 10 seconds after they lose it almost every single time. And then they have the ability to keep it and then go forward. Kusunose calmly yelling out instructions from the bench. Final 10 seconds of the added minute. And that will do it for the first half. In a match where Japan looked rusty in the early going. And for the first 23 minutes, it looked like we may have had a battle on our hands. But then Nadeshiko exploding in the 23rd minute. Inoue from Takarada. And then Takarada would get her name up in lights twice in the 25th and 35th minutes. And heading into the final 45, Japan have a 3-0 lead over South Korea. We're going to take a break here on U.S. Soccer, but we'll be back with you for the final 45 minutes of this game. And don't forget, coming up at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, USA takes on England as well. Stay with us. Getting set for the final 45 minutes of match number 1 in the 3rd annual U17 Women's NTC Invitational. Japan with a 3-0 lead over South Korea. South Korea breaking out of their huddle. Each team making a substitution at halftime. For Japan, Nanami Kitamura coming on for her first ever appearance for Nadeshiko. Another player who plays with the Cerezo Osaka Sakai girls. Well, for Korea, Mook Soon-yoon has come in. However, we have not been given the names of the players that have come out, so we'll sort that out for you as the second half is underway. As Japan to pressure right away. South Korea looking for options. And Morinaka clears it out of bounds. Im will take the throw-in. Cleared away by Morinaka. And this time the throw-in will go the way of Miyazawa. She's going to leave it off for Morinaka, who will turn 16 next Thursday. Free kick is going to go the way of the Japanese. Morinaka will come and stand over it. Both outside backs, her and Takahira, play their football for the JFA Academy in Fukushima. One of the many centers of excellence across Japan. As Morinaka to curl it in with that left boot. It's a bit too deep, and Kim elects to punch. And Kitamura with her first touch, and it's back to Kano. Kills it instantly. Trying to spin away from the pressure on the far side. Clipped over to the near side for Morinaka. Shaping out wide as Miyazawa. Perhaps was a bit too narrow. Needs to show a little bit more, as it was too easily closed down by South Korea's captain, Kong Chae-lin. And Japan with that 3-0 lead, courtesy of a 23rd minute goal from Inua and 2 goals in the space of 10 minutes from Takarada in the 25th and the 35th, can take their time and just pass the ball around the park. The old broadcaster's cliche used to be you need an abacus to count the amount of passes. However, this one a bit more direct, as cutting inside, but offsides, is Oike. Well, that's what Japan can do to you. They can lull you to sleep with pass after pass after pass before making their move, or they can get the ball up in 3 or 4 touches. Ueki loses out. Morinaka got a touch. Nagano dispossessed. Oh, that's a good ball played through, and it took an unlucky bounce. Otherwise, Kwang Tae-kyung was in.
Substitution in the 45th minute for Korea Republic. Entering the match, number 28, Soon-yeon Mook. Leaving the match, number 19, Hee-chi Kim.
So Kim Hee-chi is out as Mook replaces her. 17-year-old plays her club ball for Seoul.
Substitution in the 45th minute for Japan. Entering the match, number 7, Nanami Kitamura. Leaving the match, number 14, Miyo Tumita.
And it was Tomita. He came out for Kitamura. So it's one debutante for another. Tomita had an excellent debut working with Takarada down the right-hand side, where they created all the danger in the early going and where the first 2 goals originated from. And then, of course, what happens is as everything was opening up down the right and South Korea pinched over, it opened things up on the other flank. And that's where Japan was able to fashion their third goal. Nagano, the lone survivor from the 2014 U17 World Cup winning side. Japan will have a chance to go back to Jordan, defend their title. Just one of 4 teams already qualified, along with the host Jordan, Korea DPR, who made it to that final and beat Japan in the AFC Championships, and New Zealand out of Oceania. All other confederations have yet to hold or are in the middle of holding their championships. Takarada. Takarada once again. Little ball into the channel for Nagano. Wins the third corner kick of the game for Japan. Morinaka going over to take on the far side. Will be an in-swinger. 7 players moving around in that box for Japan, but too close to the keeper. And that's catching practice for Kim Ye-lin. Kano continues to direct traffic right in front of that back 4. Nagano pulling the strings. And she's pushed it into the space for Takarada. Second corner kick of the half, 4th of the game for Japan. Japan with 5 clean sheets in their 2 major tournaments last year. Only gave up goals to 2 teams. As this one played in low, and it's easy for South Korea, but Japan win it right back. And stepping into one. Just over the target. Not a bad effort, though. As it was Miyazawa electing to have a go. Just didn't get that dip on the ball she needed at the last second. Lean back a little bit. If she's over the ball and she can get her knee up and over it, then it will get that dip that she desired. Nagano won the header. And Miyazawa will be whistled for the foul. Kim Chin-hee will leave it off. Eam with the searching ball for Kim. Morinaka squares up to her. And getting a vital touch was Nagano. Otherwise, that ball would have fell to the South Korean player right at the top of the box. But instead, it's Japan looking to go the other way in the 54th minute. As played through. Ueki flicks it over. Was able to get it over a defender, but couldn't get it over the keeper. Well, there's that counterattack from Japan once again. Not a bad way to ease yourself into the national team duty. Come into a game where your side's up 3-0 and has about 80% of the possession. Give the ball away on this occasion. Eam to take the throw in. Mook dispossessed. Ueki. Nagano playing in that free roll. Oh, that was such a smart ball. But Ueki had stopped her run. There's that vision of Nagano. Wore the captain's armband, just as she is today at the AFC Championships. And now something might be on here for Kim. Stripped away at the last second by Nana Ono. Takarada dispossessed, but Morinaka steps in. Has it poked away from her. The cross is wayward, and it will just be a goal kick. Really the first time, though, in a long time that South Korea has been able to work the ball in deep. Here's Nagano. Nadeshko to build out of the back. And playing right on the back shoulder of that last line was Ueki. Good strength, though, on the far side by the South Korean defender, Jung Sung-un. But once she won the ball, she put it right out of bounds. And that's the difference that you're going to see that separates the first tier from the second tier at any level of soccer, really, no matter what the age group is there's a player down, and the fourth official telling the trainer to wait a second. And now the referee is calling the trainer on. So out comes the physio in a park. So we take a look here and see if we can pick up where the injury happened. And oh, that's never good when no one's around you. Oh no, it was right there. It was behind the play. And still, once again, no contact. And those are the worst injuries. I believe that they're signaling for a substitution on the far side. Jung coming out. Well, the trainer put her hands up, kind of like she was about to do the thing where you roll your hands around, which is the international sign for substitution, but maybe she was just saying, wait, she's going to be okay. Nevertheless, no one is coming over from the corner for South Korea and getting stripped down for action. It's the long free kick, too close to the keeper once again. If there's one thing you could be nitpicky about Japan so far in this game, it's been that every free kick has been played too deep into the 6, and it's been easy for Kim to either catch or punch away if necessary. Well, this is where South Korea is going to break, is on those counterattacks. But this time it's Takehira who puts an end to it. Every time it looks like there's a road, it turns into a cul-de-sac for South Korea. At the other end, space opening up for the Japanese. And who got the final touch? South Korea in the referee's point of view. Third corner kick of the half, fifth of the game for Nadeshko, as they're looking to tack on to their 3-0 lead in the 59th minute. Morinaka has been over pretty much every dead ball. It was Kirimura who played it in for Takarada. Just look at the one-touch passing. And then that little ball slid in. And Inoa so close to her second goal. She's already marked her debut by getting her name on the score sheet. Another in-swinger from the far side. Right on the hour mark here in Carson. And right at the keeper once again. Kim looking for options. Little touch on for Kong. Lives it off for Kim Suon. And Kim able to get it off of Kirimura. Im will be whistled for bowling into the back of Ueki. Norimaki is asking Bong Chi-lin to get away from the ball. So instead of playing it forward quickly, she has to play back with it. If you're a coach, that's what you want any player to do in that situation. Stand in front of the ball like that. Act like you don't really know what's going on and make sure that they can't play forward quickly. So smart by Kong Chi-lin in the end. Another free kick for the Japanese. Inoue plays it quickly, gets it right back. Norua muscled off the ball. But Kano steps into the passing lane and threads it through. It's 1-on-3 and late arrivals into the box, but still Japan earning their 5th corner kick, or make that their 6th corner kick of the game. And now South Korea getting ready to flick the switch on their 2nd substitution. And it is going to be Jung Sung-un, who was injured, who is coming out. Enters the game for her. Can Morinaka get this one away from the keeper? Well, certainly if you play it short to Kano. Morinaka at the 2nd attempt. It fell right at the feet of Miyazawa as she was unable to sort it out. It's cleared away from her, but another corner kick. 5th of the half for the Japanese, 7th of the game. Well, none for South Korea. This is what Japan will do to teams. Oh, and it's spilled this time. And anywhere will do. Kano comes over short again. Morinaka needs to hit at least the top of the 6 or more toward the penalty spot. And this time electing to punch is Kim. Not very effective, but South Korea is still able to clear their lines, only as far as Kano. Takehira. A bit too much mustard on that pass. And Morinaka unable to catch up to it.
Minute for Korea Republic. Entering the match, number 17, Kun Bayu Yeom. Leaving the match, number 6.
It's a heavy challenge, but a fair one. And certainly a stiff arm there on Kano. Well, before the injury to Jung, I was talking about the fact that the difference between first-tier teams and second-tier teams is the fact that Japan, when they get the ball, they have 2 or 3 options every single time. And it seems like when South Korea get the ball, they only have one option, and often that option is very easily telegraphed. And So what South Korea needs is that second or third option that they haven't really had in this game. As Kim's trying to use her speed. Takahiro works her way into the corner. And coming over in support is Kano. One of the things that all the coaches have said that they love about this tournament and these games is not only does it give their players international experience, but it gives them a chance to problem solve. How can they work their way out of trouble against different teams and different systems? Is that cross too close to the keeper? And that's certainly something that you learn when you play against Japan. Your first option's usually going to be closed down. Where are the second and third options going to come from? Where are those second and third runners? And that's what's been lacking. That's also why Japan's able to win the ball back so quickly. Not only the work that they do to get around the ball and hunt and win it back in packs, but also that the other team isn't doing the work they need to do off the ball in order to make sure that there's other players that can get open in order to play out of that traffic. South Korea right now, though, establishing a little pocket of possession, is starting to create some chances. As that wasn't a bad idea, but well stationed was the Japanese defender. And then a get out of jail free card on the free kick. As that cross that came in was really the first real genuine threat that South Korea has posed in this entire match. First time Momoko has had to stretch out for anything. Can't say that it's been a real quiet, or you can say rather, it's been a pretty quiet 67 minutes for Momoko Tanaka. As she watches her Japan side work their way in and around the South Korea box once again. Nobody on the end of that pass though. As Moak tried to play it forward. Japan combining so well, finding those little spaces in between the lines, and that's a lovely dummy for Morinaka, and her cross too close to the keeper. If there's anything she has to work on, it's pulling that cross back, but you have to love the way the outside backs get involved for Japan. Kano could be in some trouble here. Space for Kong. This is excellent build-up play from South Korea. And the cross comes into the back post just over the head of the South Korean forward that was lurking. So unlucky for Kong Tae-kyung. The Daewon forward put herself in the right position, but that cross was lofted just over her. Otherwise, she would have had an easy nod in at the back post. Morinaka. Miyazawa, bit too heavy for Kano. Spinning his moke. And the right idea to put it into the channel, but she didn't look up and see whether or not Kwang Chi-lin was making that run. Japan is preparing 2 more substitutions. Long searching ball for Ueki. Able to spin, leaves it off for Nagano. Great ball over to the far side. And Inua should have had her second. Inua just lacking that patience in front of goal, but that little layoff from Ueki, and then Nagano with the vision to find that late breaking run of Iniua. Just need that little bit of composure to pick out your spot, especially when you have the keeper rooted to their line like that. As once again, it's right down the middle, but Ueki muscled off the ball this time. '70th minute, Nadeshiko all over the Taeguk girls. 3-0 in favor of Japan over South Korea. And they're looking the more likely side to grab the next goal of the game if there is one. As you could see the intention there, Miyazawa trying to flick it past the defender. However, Kwon wouldn't let her by. And here comes the double substitution for Japan, as we're going to have another debut. Makoto Nezu, the 14-year-old, coming in. For the second time today, it's one debutante replacing another. As Inohawa comes off, but she has a goal to her name, and as it stands, the game-winning goal as well. Morinaka also making her way off the field, as checking in for her is Akari Kurata. So a special moment as well for Kurata. She makes her debut with Nadeshiko. That's a textbook sliding challenge from Kim Chain-hee. Nezu will let it roll out for a throw-in. One of the youngest players on this squad, Nezu, at just 14 years of age. Nezu, another player out of Fukushima's JFA Academy. Okari Kurata, 16-year-old, makes her debut, the pride of Jumonji Senior High School. So what can these two do with their first caps in a Japanese jersey? Remember, every opportunity for these Japanese players is a chance to show Coach Naoki Kusunose that they belong on the plane going to Jordan in late September, as they are trying to cement their spots on the World Cup squad. As Japan will look to retain their world title.
71st minute for Japan, entering the match, number 20.
Japan, of course, winning in 2014.
Leaving the match, number 6, Hina Morinaka. Substitution in the 71st minute.
Nezu whistled
Japan,
for the foul.
Entering the match, number 12, Akari Korati. Leaving the match, number 13.
And it's Kong Chae Lim holding on to her calf. It looks like it's just being stretched out, so perhaps just a cramp. At least that's what you hope. Japanese players coming over to get water, as it was really, really hot earlier today, but the wind has picked up here as it often does in Carson. It is made for a very, very pleasant atmosphere. And great sportsmanship by Nezu as well, coming over to check on Kong. And she looks to be in some real duress, Kong. As she continues to get stretched out. Head coach Kim Hae-sung comes over to check on her. Yeah, there really wasn't anything in it from that tackle on by Nezu. So you have to feel that either she tweaked something or just cramped up when the tackle came in. Either way, it looks like she's going to need a sub. Han Chi-ri checks into the match as Kong's night is done. And you hope for her, not her tournament. So 2 players have had to have been subbed out due to injury for South Korea. And the offside flag is up against Han in her first action of the game. The coaching staff said that they and their players were really feeling the effects of the time change. Joked with their team manager, who goes by Alex. He said, you know, for us it's tomorrow. I said, so do you know what's going to happen today? He said, if I know that, I'd be going to play the lottery right now. Inside the final 15 minutes of match number 1 in Carson. In Japan with a 3-0 lead. And Kim off to the races. Takahira able to get back and police her. Kim gets around her to the back post once again, but no one arriving. So 2 things there. You either need that player making that run, or you need to pick your head up and realize that nobody's going to arrive on the end of your cross. Was a player in the center. She was well marshaled. Back post was wide open. Japan escape once again. Second time they've gotten away with good balls to the back post, but nobody able to finish it off for South Korea. And they maintained their 3-0 lead in the 77th minute. All the scoring coming in the first half as the game was swung in Japan's favor in the space of 2 minutes. Inua from Takarada in the 23rd minute, and then Takarada getting on the score sheet 2 minutes later, and she helped herself to a second goal just 10 minutes later in Japan's third. And what a finish it was from Takarada, as she saw the keeper off her line and got a one-touch pass and just flicked it up and over her. World class at any level. South Korea off to the races again. And now it could be a 2-on-1. Kim is in 1-on-1 and a huge sliding tackle from Nezu. They always talk about how special it is to mark your debut with a goal. How about marking your debut with a goal-stopping tackle? Nezu had to get this absolutely right. Otherwise, that might not only have been a penalty shot, but a red card as well. Instead, it's the first corner kick of the game for South Korea. The covering defender coming over from the far side, so important. Tanaka will want that back. Good idea on the distribution, but a bit too far. Studs were showing a bit from Kano, but no foul called, as it will be a throw-in for South Korea. Up next for South Korea will be the USA on Saturday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on ussoccer.com and US Soccer's YouTube page. And the day's early match will be Japan taking on England. And tic-tac-toe. In the end, just a bit overcooked. However, Japan win the ball back off the long ball. South Korea unable to bring it back down to ground. And Takarada will take care of that for them. She's still on a hat trick, Takarada. Just drifted out of the game just a bit. But here she is on the ball, waiting for that run into the channel. Instead, she turns in, slips it in for Ano Kano. And Kano slots home the 4th goal of the match for Japan in the 80th minute. Lado Kano was one of the leading scorers last year. She gets her name on the board here in the first game this time around. It's another late-breaking run from midfield that undoes the South Korean back line. And a perfectly weighted pass through from Takarada. Inside the final 10 minutes, we already have our woman of the match. That's going to be Sori Takarada. 2 goals and 2 assists for Japan's number 11. As players collide in the box, and the foul's going to be called outside of it. Wry smile on the face of Akari Kurata. Felt that there was nothing in the challenge, but the referee, Daniele Chesky, sees differently. And perhaps a chance for South Korea to grab some consolation from the set piece. 82nd minute, it's Kwon standing over the dead ball. She drives it in low, off the wall, took a couple deflections. And will be the 2nd corner kick of the game for South Korea. Ball finally came back from the wilderness, so we're setting up the corner kick. Kim plays it into the near post and out of bounds. Another opportunity goes wanting for South Korea as Japan look to hold on to the clean sheet, leading 4-0 in the 83rd minute. I'm not sure whether, if you'd ask Tanaka whether she'd be happy or not that she's been made to work a little bit in the second half.
Goal scored for Japan.
Flick through for Takarada on a hat trick.
Number 17,
However, she's chased down.
Kano, assisted by number 11, Saori.
Kano, the latest goal scorer, slides it through for Miyazawa. Plays it right into the keeper. Did a great job to come out and make herself as big as possible. You look at the breakaways right there from Miyazawa and earlier from Inoue, and this game could be 6-0. Neitsu. Just look at the passing from Japan and the movement off the ball to get into the right spaces, to open up the space for the cross. And if there's one thing you could say about Japan, it's that the crossing hasn't been the best today. And that's in an A+ performance. Neitsu. Kano. That's a mistake a 14-year-old will make. Kim, able to flick it over Takahira. She has a lane. Takahira gets on her bike and gets back in front of her. And Japan does so well to force South Korea back. Long range effort has Takanaga's backpedaling, but in the end, it floats over her post. Heading into the final 5 minutes of match number 1 between Japan and South Korea. And this one, done and dusted as Japan has a 4-0 lead. A reminder to stay with us coming up at 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. The USA will face off against England as the offside flag is up against Kim. It's a USA squad that is getting ready for the March 3rd through 13th CONCACAF Championships, trying to get back to the U17 World Cup after missing out in 2014, facing off against an England squad trying to get to the World Cup as well, as they navigated their way through the Group 1 of European qualifying and are now into the elite round. And if they can get through the elite round, then they will head to the final 8 in May, where if they finish as one of the top 3 teams there, then they will go through to the U17 World Cup. So a very long and arduous road in Europe, but CONCACAF, as the U.S. has found out to their chagrin, certainly has its challenges. In fact, the U.S. has never lost in a CONCACAF championship at the U17 level. However, they have twice been tied and have gone to penalties, and that is where they've missed out on 2 World Cups. Two more players getting ready to make entry from the bench for a cameo for Japan. Risa Kanehira is going to come in as Takahira comes out. Takahira did an excellent job to keep Kim under control throughout the game. And Miyazawa comes off as well, as she is replaced by Shinu Matsuda, the other 14-year-old on this squad. And Matsuda, like many of these players, plays for Nippon TV Manina. Final 2.5 minutes of normal time. Takarada with 2 goals and 2 assists for Japan. Her goals sandwiched by Inoa's opening strike in the 23rd and Kanu's strike in the 80th. But it was Takarada who created them both before scoring her 2 goals in the 25th and 35th minute. However, it's been exhibition stuff from Nadeshko here. Both of the coaches for South Korea and Japan said that one of their biggest problems on the world stage was that they just didn't match up physically to these other countries. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how Japan's game changes when they play much faster and more physical sides in both England and the U.S. Also, how does South Korea change up their games for those 2 matches as well? Netsu. Now, the biggest thing about this Japanese squad is they play very simply. As Johan Cruyff, one of the greats of the game, once said, simple soccer is the easiest kind, but it's the hardest thing to do. Now, this is a Japanese side that plays very simply until they see those openings.
Substitution in the 88th minute for Japan, entering the match, number 5, Risa Kanitaiya. Leaving the match, number 8, Hinata Miyazawa.
Space for the cross from Nezu, repelled by South Korea. Final 20 seconds of regulation. My inference, based on what I see on the board, is that there's going to be 2 minutes of stoppage time. As Ueki turns in the box, leaves it off for Takarada. So unselfish. And Japan have their 5th. And it's another player scoring on their debut for Japan. It's Kurata with the easiest of finishes in the end. But when Takarada could have taken her hat trick, she elects to give it off for a memorable moment for Akari Kurata. Right on the stroke of full time. 2 goals, 3 assists for Takarada. As it was a great turn from Ueki and laid it off for Takarada. And once again, instead of taking the shot, it's that extra pass that nobody's expecting from that player coming in out wide. As 2 of Japan's 5 goals have been scored in that fashion. This one tried to be played through. Didn't have the weight it needed, but still winning it is Ueki, but she can't skip by the last defender. And coming back from an offside position is Kim. So it's going to be a free kick for Japan, even though Kim got mowed down. Final 20 seconds, the minimum 2 of stoppage time. Japan opened up last year's NTC with an 8-0 win over Canada. So far, it's 5 against South Korea. We'll certainly have the regional bragging rights until these 2 teams meet again. And that's enough, says referee Danielle Chesky, as Japan runs rampant on day 1 of the NTC U17 Women's Invitational with a 5-0 win over regional rival South Korea. Inoue opened the scoring in the 23rd minute, and then Takarada, who had the assist on the opening goal, scored just 2 minutes later. She'd be on the score sheet once again 10 minutes later in the 35th minute, and then she would supply the final 2 goals in the 80th minute for Ado Kano and the 90th minute for Kurata. So 2 goals for 2 debutantes in Inoue and Kurata, and 2 goals and 3 assists for Takarada, as Japan wins convincingly 5-0 over South Korea. Well, that will do it for now for Game 1, but Game 2 is coming up at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, and it'll be a good one. You won't want to miss it, as 2 of the best teams in the world will face off when the USA takes on England. But for now, I'm Mark Serber saying so long for now on U.S. Soccer and U.S. Soccer's YouTube page, as Japan wins match number 1, 5-0 over South Korea.